When you're ready, Abby. Thank you.
Last summer was a major turning point in the lives of many young girls in England. The Lionesses' 2-1 victory over Germany in the European Championship final saw over 87,000 spectators at Wembley on the edge of their seats, and over 50 million tuned in on the BBC. But why was this such an achievement? I would like you to imagine a world where you can't play football, where you have to watch other people living your dream all because they are a different gender. Imagine the hurt and the anger you would feel. Imagine the mixed emotions when watching the games on television. Let's go back to 1921. This year may not seem significant, but for female footballers, it was excruciating. The FA banned all women's teams from playing at club grounds because they thought that football was, and I quote, quite unsuitable for females. This ban lasted 50 years, and it caused detrimental knock-on effects for the modern game. Where men's football has been professional since the 1800s, the women's game didn't have a fully professional league until 2018, when Barclays sponsored the Women's Super League. To put that into perspective, us Year 11s were in Year 6 in 2018. For so many girls across England, football was not an achievable career. There was minimal coverage of the game on TV, and that made it so difficult for these girls to idolise female players. Where names like Beckham, Ronaldo and Messi have become so infamous that even someone that doesn't follow football would know who they are, female players have been, in a way, shut behind a locked door that only the media have the key to. Who knows who Jill Scott is? Of course, we all know that she is this year's Queen of the Jungle, but who really knows her career? When she started playing football, she played with the boys, the same as many, if not all, female players. Despite receiving so much verbal abuse on and off the pitch as a child and crying after every game, she received 161 England caps, played in 10 major tournaments and reached 2 Euros finals, one in 2009 and the other being last summer when they were triumphant. She retired from football after that tournament, but that didn't stop her from continuing to inspire the next generation of players, both male and female, when she took part in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, showing the human side to professional athletes. Alongside her partner, Shelley Unit, she now runs her coffee shop Box to Box in Manchester, bringing joy to all that visit. There is a misconception that all professional players support the club they play for. However, whilst we're on the topic of Manchester, Arsenal and England forward Beth Mead supports Manchester United. She touches on this in her autobiography, Lioness, My Journey to Glory, whilst also talking about some of the challenges she faced all the way through her career, from playing with the boys in her village team, to being left out of the Team GB squad, to winning the Euros on her revenge tour. Would you believe me if I told you that she didn't enjoy England camps at first? When Mead was in the youth age groups, her homesickness made her dread leaving her parents. She would tell them that she didn't feel well, that she couldn't possibly play, but as soon as she stepped on the pitch, all of her anxiety shattered and she was fine. It's hard to imagine the Euros player of the tournament and Golden Boot winner to avoid England camps, isn't it? In her book, she also talks about her first professional contract with Sunderland and how it, along with her teammates' contracts, got changed back to a part-time model from the previous full-time model. Why did this happen? Because the Sunderland men's team were about to get relegated from the Premier League and the club had to cut costs. The women suffered because the men had underperformed. Mead and her partner, Vivianne Miedema, Arsenal forward and Dutch international, were both nominated for the Ballon d'Or Feminine 2022, which is an accolade awarded to the best female player of that year across all leagues. Mead was the runner-up and Miedema came 11th, but a photographer captioned the photo of the two on the red carpet as Miedema and a guest. Whilst the couple had a laugh about it on Twitter among the fans, Miedema told the BBC Behind the Goals podcast that it illustrates that there are a lot of improvements to be made and that it would obviously never happen if Messi and Neymar had been walking together. Kira Walsh, another European champion who, in my opinion, should have been nominated for the Ballon d'Or, was transferred to Barcelona from Manchester City for £350,000 before the start of the 22-23 season. This made her the most expensive player to date, and it was a massive step in the right direction. But if you look through the transfer archives of the English men's game, you will see that the first transfer of the same sum occurred in 1974. So, do we as women have to wait another 50 years to be where the men are now? This isn't about feminism, this is about football. Not men's football, not women's football, just football. I can't wait until we no longer need the hashtag Let Girls Play. And as Leah Williamson, the England captain, said at the Pride of Britain Awards 2022, we're all one team here, right? One England.
Thank you so much, Abby. Do we have any questions?
What impact has women's football and the lack of representation in the media had on your life?
It's had a massive impact. When I was probably 6 years old, I went and tried to join a football team, and I think I got through 2 training sessions before giving up because the boys didn't want me there. It made me feel really uncomfortable. But as England won the Euros last year, it gave me the confidence to go out and find another team. And since then, I've played loads of games, and I've been scouted by Brighton and Hove Albion and their disability squad, and we won our tournament last week.
Amazing, fantastic. Have we got any other questions? So, my question is, do you think that we even need to have it separated into men's football and women's football, or do you think that there could ever be a day in the future, maybe quite a long time in the future, where we just have one England squad and we have or would you welcome that or not?
I think that the reason why it's separated is because of the biological differences between men and women. With men, they're just physically stronger, they're physically faster, they can gain muscle quicker. With women, what I think that the women's game is more technical and it's less fast-paced, and that is often what people use to say why they don't watch women's football. But it's because we are slower and we are less strong, but it forces us to do different things. So saying there could be a mixed England squad, yes, there could be, but I don't think there will be, because injuries especially are so prevalent in both men's and women's football. And for example, rupturing your ACL is way more of an issue in women's football than it is in men's football, and it would be even more of an issue if women were going in for tackles against men and men were going in for tackles against women, because it would just be more of an impact.
Yeah.
So I don't think that there will be, but it's for school level, especially, I think there should be, because it makes the boys more technical and it makes the girls more physical.
Yeah, and especially sort of at the younger ages as well, when those physicalities are not so different. Ms. Bedford.
So with tennis, I know that when it comes to men's and women's tennis, there are things put in place because of those biological differences, like you mentioned, how sort of in women's tennis there's only 3 sets, I believe, versus 5 for men's. Do you think that in terms of timings for matches and periods of time, do you think that it's more, what's in place at the moment is more sort of obviously centred around men's physical fitness as opposed to women's? Do you think in the same way that the timing should be changed for women's matches, or do you think it's okay?
Yeah, that's a difficult one, but I think from watching the games, from playing games, and from switching from one sport to another, I think the 90 minutes that football uses is a very good amount of time for anyone. I've had training sessions that last an hour, and I'm like, I feel like I can play for another 2 hours, but then during the games it's like we're running a lot more, we're walking sometimes. So I think that I think the difference between men's and women's football with fitness, I don't think that exists too much, but I think it's just the way the game is played that's different, which is why it is separate at the professional levels. Whereas for tennis, I don't know why there's a difference. I don't personally think there should be. I think the thing that we need to change in sports from men's and women's sports is the way that it's judged, because the game is different, because we're just built differently.
Okay, thank you.
Fantastic, thank you.